The billionaire overworked the single dad for weeks, until she showed up at his door at midnight. At exactly 11:59 p.m., the doorbell rang. Daniel froze. His 8-year-old daughter, Lily, was asleep on the couch, her school bag still clutched to her chest. The TV hummed softly, unpaid bills scattered across the table like silent accusations. No one ever came this late. No one knew him well enough to. When Daniel opened the door, his tired eyes widened. Standing there, soaked from the rain, hair pulled back in a loose knot, designer coat clinging to her shoulders, was Evelyn Cross. The billionaire CEO who had worked him to the bone for weeks. 3 weeks earlier, Daniel had been grateful just to get the job. After his wife passed away, life became a careful balancing act, school drop-offs, night shifts, and pretending he wasn't exhausted beyond words. When Cross-Stech hired him as a project coordinator, he thought it was a miracle. What he didn't expect was 18-hour days. Emails at 2 a.m. Urgent calls during Lily's parent-teacher meeting. Deadlines that ignored weekends, sickness, or humanity. Evelyn Cross was known in business circles as brilliant but ruthless. She never raised her voice. She didn't need to. Her silence alone was pressure enough. Daniel never complained. Even when Lily asked, "Papa, why don't you smile anymore?" Even when he nodded off at his desk and woke to another task marked urgent. Because single fathers don't get the luxury of quitting. One night, after missing Lily's small school play, Daniel finally typed an email he'd been holding in for weeks. "I'm doing my best, but I'm struggling to keep up. I don't want to fail, at work or as a father." He stared at the screen for a long time, then deleted it. Somewhere high above the city, Evelyn Cross closed her laptop without ever seeing the message that was never sent. Ariana insisted Ethan become her personal security aide, temporary, she said. Just until the threat was understood, temporary became weeks, weeks became something else entirely, but Ethan didn't feel like he belonged there. Not in glittering offices. Not in private lounges. Not next to a woman who owned skyscrapers. He belonged with Lily, his whole world. She was the reason he worked 2 jobs. The reason he stayed up late stitching holes in his shoes instead of buying new ones. But Ariana made him feel seen. One evening, she found him sitting in the staff corridor, head in his hands. "You're not sleeping again," she said softly. He looked away. "Single dad life." "Then let me help." "No," his voice broke. "I'm not your responsibility." Ariana didn't get angry. She sat next to him, her presence gentle. "Ethan, you saved my life. But that's not why I care." He didn't respond. "Lily needs medicine," she continued. "I checked the records." He stiffened. "You had no right." "I had every right to help the men who brought me back from death." Ethan blinked, stunned by the raw emotion in her voice. "I don't want your money," he whispered. "Then what do you want?" she asked, and for the first time, Ethan spoke the truth he was afraid of. "I want someone to stay." Ariana's eyes glistened. "I'm trying to." The air between them warmed, dangerously close, painfully honest, but before Ethan could say more, a security alert blared through the hallway. The masked intruder had returned. Ariana froze, breath trembling. Ethan grabbed her hand. "Stay behind me. I'm not losing you again." The confrontation was brief but brutal. Ethan tackled the attacker, pinning him until guards arrived. And when it was over, Ariana clung to him, shaking. "You could have died," she whispered. "But I didn't," he said softly. "Because I had someone to fight for." She leaned into him then, not out of fear, but something deeper, something neither of them wanted to name yet. Later, when the night finally quieted, Ariana stood at the balcony, city lights shimmering below. Ethan approached slowly. "Why were they after you?" he asked. She exhaled. "Someone wants the company. Someone ruthless. And you trusted me to protect you." She turned, eyes bright with emotion. "I trust you with more than that." A silence stretched between them, then Ariana stepped closer, close enough that Ethan could feel her heartbeat. "What happens now?" he whispered. Ariana smiled, soft and vulnerable. "Now, everything changes." And when she took his hand, Ethan realized something he never thought possible. The kiss that saved her life was about to save his, too. Morning light slipped through the curtains like a quiet promise. Daniel woke up on the couch, unsure for a moment if the night before had been real or just another exhaustion-born dream. Then he heard it, Lily laughing. He sat up quickly. In the kitchen, Lily was eating pancakes. Real pancakes. Not the rushed cereal breakfasts he usually managed. And standing by the stove, sleeves rolled up awkwardly, was Evelyn Cross. "I hope she's not allergic to blueberries," Evelyn said, glancing back nervously. "I may have overdone it." Daniel let out a small laugh, his first unguarded one in months. "She loves them," he said softly. Evelyn smiled, and in that moment, she looked less like a billionaire and more like someone who had finally exhaled after years of holding her breath. At cross-stitch that afternoon, things felt different. Daniel walked in expecting whispers, maybe resentment. Instead, his inbox held something unfamiliar, reasonable deadlines. His calendar showed protected family hours. A company-wide memo followed shortly after. Effective immediately, cross-stitch will introduce a work-life accountability policy. Leadership will be measured not just by results, but by the well-being of their teams. The office buzzed. People looked at Daniel with gratitude they didn't dare speak aloud. He hadn't just changed his own life, he'd changed theirs. Evelyn watched from her glass office, hands clasped tightly. For years, she had believed leadership meant distance. Now she was learning it meant responsibility. That evening, Daniel attended Lily's school event again, this time sitting in the front row. When Lily spotted him, her face lit up like the sun itself. After the performance, she ran into his arms. "You came." "I always will," Daniel whispered, and for the first time, he knew it was true. Across the room, Evelyn stood quietly near the door, unseen by most. She hadn't told anyone she'd come. She watched the father and daughter, something warm and unfamiliar blooming in her chest. Weeks later, Daniel received a message marked personal. It wasn't a task. It was an invitation. Dinner. No agenda. Just conversation. Daniel smiled at the screen. For once, life wasn't asking him to choose between survival and being present. And Evelyn Cross, once known as the woman who never slowed down, had learned that success meant nothing if it cost someone else their life, one late night at a time. As Daniel tucked Lily into bed that night, she whispered, "Papa, the rain brought good things, didn't it?" He kissed her forehead. "Yes," he said. "Sometimes it does."